Well, the 1960s is the moment that really capstones 100 years of civil rights struggles, which so much defined the very heart of this nation's original sin. The conundrum about the content and quality of Black life in America was, for many people, decided in the 1960s.
What you remember of the 1960s, another thing you remember is night after night on the television news, you see beatings, you see policemen with a police dog sicking the dogs at the protesters. You know, you see the police throwing these students into paddy wagons. And as the wagons drove off, you hear them singing, "We shall overcome," through the bars of the paddy wagons.
So what changed in that moment was a generational response that I'm not gonna put my head down anymore like my parents. I'm not gonna accept the system as one that cannot be changed. The activists born of the 1930s who came of age in the 1950s, the Rosa Parkses, the Martin Luther Kings, all of them received not only the pain and struggle of the past, but also the possibilities for reconciling these contradictions in this moment.
1965 was the Selma March, where Martin Luther King leads this march for voting rights. Lyndon Johnson says to him at the beginning, it's going to be really hard to pass another civil rights bill. We passed one last year. But King has this march in Selma.
You are ordered to disperse, go home, or go to your church. We have no alternative but to keep moving with determination. We've gone too far now to turn back. And in a real sense, we are moving and we cannot afford to stop because Alabama and because our nation has a date with destiny.
Then Lyndon Johnson decides to give this speech. No one really knows what's in it. He gives this speech in which he says, looking down at the Southern senators, "And we shall overcome."
Their cause must be our cause too. Because it's not just Negroes, but really it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome.
Martin Luther King was sitting in the living room of a supporter in Selma, preparing for the next day's march, which was going to be tough. When Lyndon Johnson says, "We shall overcome," Martin Luther King starts to cry. It's the only time his aides had ever seen him cry.
The pressure that those young people put on the system did fundamentally help to push that system in ways that it had not been pushed before.
So you say, is there hope to make advances even when it seems like the country is too divided? The 60s is really the great example of how there is hope. There is always hope to bend the moral arc of the universe. I think the 60s teaches us that.